And then there were two. Can hear you.
Hello. You can
there
see
he
me.
is. There we go. Welcome aboard.
Yeah, I think Nigel forgot to click on the link.
Well, this is why we have a backup, because one is none, as they say in the business. While the quality is not nearly as good, it's better than not having the interview at all. This has happened enough times that I'm like, we need to have the full pro account. I email Mark just in case Mark didn't get it.
Hello.
Hello.
Excellent.
We just need Mr. Mark. All right, there he is.
Excellent.
Hooray! There are 5 men on this call.
All right. Yep. I'm sorry, but I have to leave.
Oh no. All right. In 3, 2.
You're watching Diecast Breakdown with Chuck Ellis, David Johns, and Mark McHotwheel. So sit back, strap in, and hang on. The breakdown starts now.
Hey there, folks. Chuck here, and welcome to Diecast Breakdown. I am so glad you're here with us today, and I'm really excited because we've got another interview where we got folks from all over the world joining us. Literally, we are on 3 different continents right now, which is super cool. But before I get to that, I want to thank our executive producer level patrons. That would be Mr. Twice Diecast, Mr. Datsun Man Diecast, Donald Rashik, and Video Geek Productions, First and 64th Productions, and of course, Mr. Dane Self as our honorary executive producer for donating all of his in gift memberships, which he and Mark have been doing like crazy, which is why we have some new patrons, Kanani Miranda, Bees Diecast Fantasy, Jason Cattrall, and Aaron Scott. So welcome aboard, all of you, and thank you for making the show go. If you want to know more about making the show go, you can visit diecastbreakdown.com, or you can click on the little join button down below, which gives you access to some behind the scenes stuff, some little extra posts that we're working on. And as you may have noticed, we're posting every single day of the year in 2024, getting that subscriber number up because we want to hit 10,000 by the end of the year. And using that, we will raise 24,000 cars in 2024 for Driven Dreams and the Diecast Day of Giving, which you can find out about at drivendreams.org. All right, now that I got all of that out of the way, and I can't believe I did it in one take, I'm going to introduce my co-hosts, Mr. David Johns. How you doing, David?
Hi, I'm doing good, Chuck. Hope everybody is doing well.
There, I did it. I talked over you. All right. And Mr. Mark. Mark, how you doing?
Fantastic.
Mark
fantastic. Thanks, Chuck.
Here and fantastic. And Mark is gearing up because I know you've got a special delivery coming very soon. So hopefully not during this recording because
no, I don't think so.
No, we're going to be okay there. But yeah. So anyway, as you may have been able to tell by the title of this episode, we are joined by CastHeads Magazine, and I'm really excited to have the gentleman behind that cool publication on. I would like to introduce you all to Mr. Nigel Zilwa. How you doing, Nigel?
Yo, I'm doing great. Thank you so much.
And Lance Müller. Lance, how you doing?
So far, so good. It's great to be here.
We are all here and we are all connected, and there's been a lot of rummaging around in the back and plugging wires in and trying to make things work, but we were all here together, and we're 5 men joined by a love of tiny cars, and that's what we're going to talk about. And first, before we get too far into that, I'm going to start with Nigel. Tell me, why tiny cars? What was your interest in diecast? Where did that start?
Oh, wow. Okay, so I grew up in a family that loved cars. I mean, the first movie that I watched with my dad was Smokey and the Bandit.
Yeah,
and that was when I fell in love with American Muscle, and ever since then, I've wanted to own myself a Firebird. Then my dad used to collect a lot of these car brochures and car magazines because we lived in the Middle East, and in the Middle East, cars are absolutely insane. They like big cars, they like fast cars because at that time in the 1970s, big roads, petrol was cheaper than water. So my dad always had a collection of cars that he used to pick up from car showrooms and stuff. And he was a big Jackie Chan fan. So he loved American Muscle and he loved Mitsubishis. So that was where it started. Then as a kid growing up, I loved cars. I was always going through those books and manuals and then started collecting. I started Corgi because Corgi was big in the Middle East at the time. And I had the 007 with the ejector seat. And I had to get two of those because the very first one I launched the evil guy off the balcony and cried my eyes out. I must have been around 4.
No. This was last year, right?
Yes. I can remember Knight Rider was my second most memorable toy. Then the Corgi Batman from the 1970s, which had probably one of the most dangerous accessories a kid could have with the blade in front that popped out. And then it was Hot Wheels. I got my first Hot Wheels. My cousins had Hot Wheels. We used to get the tracks. And we used to fill up our bedrooms with lots of intricate tracks and boosters and rolly things and loop-de-loops and stuff like that. And when I moved back from the Middle East to my home country in Sri Lanka, I had a massive collection of Hot Wheels. And that was childhood thing. Had all these Hot Wheels and loved them, loved playing with them. Distributed many to new friends I met in Sri Lanka. And at some point in my life, something happened where my father lost a bit of money and we had to get rid of all the stuff that we had, which included my toys. And I swore that as soon as I was able to afford my own collection and all that, I'd get back into collecting, which I did 9 years ago. And while collecting Hot Wheels and getting back into collecting Hot Wheels because I now could afford it, I met Lance, and it's just taken off from there. I'm sure people have seen the memes. You start with one and then it's a slippery slope. You go tumbling down the rabbit hole. And now I have, I think, over 1,400 models in all scales.
Mine is not as interesting as Nigel's, but as a kid, I think most young boys around the planet do grow up with cars because the girls are given dolls and boys are given cars. And my dad used to travel a lot, and he used to pick up Dinky. Back in the day, it was Dinky for me. And he used to bring back a lot of toys from, especially, he had to bring something back, otherwise he's going to not be able to come home. And so he used to bring me Dinky toys, and my collection used to grow, and I used to play with them, smash it. But as first thing I remember was the first car that I bought myself was the Matchbox 57 Chevy that you can open the front hood.
Yeah.
Yes, that was my first in red, yellow, and black. And after that, you become an adult, you lose touch with what you play. But then I got back into advertising, and I went to the Middle East when I was a grown man. And started working with 14 car brands from Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, Volkswagen, Mitsubishi. And all these dealerships used to have model cars, the dealer models. So the moment I saw them, I knew I like to live the brand. So I started buying Maisto, Dodge cars because I was handling the brand. Maisto used to have a lot of Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge models. So back in 2009, I used to start collecting again 132, especially 132. And then I got a collection and came back here. And I thought I joined the local Hot Wheels club. And then the passion got reignited and from there it's here now. It has brought me here so far with Nigel, and we met in the Hot Wheels club.
Okay, I was going to say, where did you guys meet? So you met at the Hot Wheels Club in Sri Lanka?
That's right.
Obviously, from there, the idea behind CastHeads Magazine sprang. But tell me how that kind of came to be.
How we became friends is we started we got together because we were getting fed up of the scalp more than anything else. So we got talking about this, and then it went to where we are collecting cars, we're collecting 164s, and what we don't have are display cases or displays, proper displays. Actually, CastHeads started as making acrylic floating display cases for 164 models.
Oh.
That was our first business together. And actually, what happened is Nigel is the one who instigated this. And I think he's a better storyteller about how the magazine side started.
Well, we failed. We failed the display case market.
Back with more Diecast Breakdown after this word from our sponsors.
Hey, this is Larry Wood, and you're watching Diecast Breakdown.
Legendary Hollywood concept artist and designer Fireball Tim Lawrence has created 3 exclusive pieces of automotive art based on the 3 hosts of Diecast Breakdown. Get these and other brilliant designs printed on mugs and more at fireballtimgarage.art today. Diecast Breakdown would like to thank Diecast Heroes Magazine for supporting this program. Diecast Heroes Magazine is the premier digital and print resource just for diecast customizers. Visit diecastheroes.com and see what the best customizers in the world are up to. Here's this week's small channel shout-out.
352 Diecast King.
If you have a favorite Diecast channel with less than 700 subscribers and you'd like to see them highlighted on a future episode, email us at diecastbreakdown@gmail.com.
Hey, this is Chad Reed from Round 2, and you're watching Diecast Breakdown.
And now back to Diecast Breakdown.
What happened was too small a market, production costs were too high, and pretty much crashed and burned. But we had a great idea. We had a great brand, CastHeads. We had a lovely logo that Lance designed, and it seemed like a shame to let this go. Now, this was the time when Tarmac Works was starting to raise its head in the Asian scene. So I used to do regular trips to Malaysia because my wife used to live there and she has lots of friends. So we used to go there every year, try and do the Formula One, and then spend some time there. And while I was there that year that we were doing this CastHeads display scenario and failing, I went for a Comic-Con that was featuring a diecast convention within the Comic-Con. And I thought, oh, wow, this is going to be fantastic. I'm going to be able to go and check out the Hot Wheels and pick up some cool cars that nobody has in Sri Lanka, and possibly pick up some cars at really good prices and not scalper prices. And so I went, and I had my mind blown. I suddenly realized there's more to life than Hot Wheels alone. And there were Tomica was there in a big way. They had a massive display stall. There was Tarmac Works had come, and this was probably one of their biggest first forays into the exhibition side of the diecast model stuff. And I just went nuts. I started buying stuff, and I was like, oh my God, look at this. This is far more detailed. And it just went on from there. And then when I came back, I told Lance, you know what? There's all this fantastic diecast out there, and no one really knows about it. Everybody's talking about Hot Wheels. So we're a designer and a creative guy. I'm a designer and a creative guy. Why don't we just go back to what we are really good at, which is designing and branding and stuff like that, and let's do a magazine. And I think it took us 3 weeks to put that magazine together, and that's where it started from. And that first magazine is still online. Anybody can go back and read it today. It's a good starting point for us to look at how far we've come as well in terms of creating content in the photography. But yeah, that's where it all began. We went to Malaysia, we saw these guys, or I went to Malaysia, saw these guys, and came back and told Lance, bro, we've got an opportunity here. and we can have fun doing this. And that's where we started putting this together. I had a balcony converted into an office. Lance is working at home, and that's where our passion began, putting this magazine together in the after hours, late in the night, taking pictures with our mobile phones.
So you guys are working virtually on this from different sides of a very large continent. What is it like putting the magazine together, and what does a typical CastHeads magazine contain for someone who's never looked at one of your issues?
So the typical CastHeads magazine contains reviews of castings ranging from 164 scale all the way up to 112 scale. We work a lot with Meichong Group, with Borago, Maisto, Solido, and with the other guys, GT Spirit Automobile. They send us all the samples every month, as much as they can send out to us. And basically comes to me. I do the photography. And sometimes I send some models to Lance because he's in a unique environment as well. So we have the opportunity to do beach shots in Sri Lanka. And in fact, one of our next issues is going to have a nice beach setting for some of the models that we've got. So the models that fit that setting, I send over to Lance. And then between us, we shoot the cars. We have a team now in Sri Lanka that we kind of kicked off last year when I moved to the UK. And that team basically comprises of our social media manager and graphics designer, who's absolutely fantastic and has been a great part of the team. He puts the magazine together and does the layouts and stuff like that. So it's not bad. I mean, it's quite interesting being able to do that, and even within the time constraints, it's quite cool. So we have the magazine with all the articles, but also we have fashion, motorsport fashion, because again, the people who collect are also humans, so they want to get dressed. They also like to represent the cars that they buy the models of. So we work together with fashion brands like Puma, for example. And we are able to showcase a lot of Puma motorsport clothes. Then we do a lot of book reviews, because again, it's all about reading culture, and we get a lot of information from the books that we read. So we review the books that we read and the books that we use for our research. And then we try and link a lot of interactive videos to the articles as well. And that's what's cool about having a digital magazine, because you can show the entire story. Then I think in the most recent issue that we did, or we're working on, for example, there is a story about the Hesketh Racing and James Hunt. And we are able to find a lot of those videos of those races, those exact races that they took part in. So correlating that with the article and with the model is what we like to do, so that we create an entire picture. So it's not just about the model opening doors and wheels can roll and rubber tires and rear lights and all that, but all these cars have a story. And what happens is a lot of people are now trying to be ahead of the game in terms of getting the coolest casting out there. So people are grabbing castings from anywhere they can find on the internet, which is kind of cool in a way, because then you start to have these backstories that nobody knows, but we like to find, research, look for, and then we can add those bits in. And some of them are so off the wall. It's a model based on on a car that did one race as a tribute. But then we find the video of that car racing, and then we have that in the magazine as well. So it's an interactive experience that surrounds itself, that surrounds car culture through diecast collecting. Because at the end of the day, we're all the same in terms of loving car culture. It's just that some of us can't afford the real thing. So we live vicariously through the models that we collect.
There's only so much room in the garage. We had kind of the similar idea, but we were all YouTubers. And so we were like, well, what can we do that everything's kind of out there, and you're getting a little bit of information over here and a little bit of information over here. What if we had a place where we could just kind of bring all of our experiences together and talk to the people? And because I'm curious about why particular castings get made or not made, or what's the story behind why is this car called that, or why did this guy get his car made into a diecast, or what's the logic behind doing these castings, and what goes into that, and how do they get the rights to do it, and what's the design process like? And it's super cool that you're doing this, and in case you guys didn't pick up on it, it's 100% free. You can read every issue of CastHeads Magazine for free, much like this show is free. And I assume that you guys are getting a little money on advertising, but it's something that you do because you just feel like you have to do it, because this is what you want to do and this is what you want to talk about.
When you hear the word magazine, you might think 20, 30 pages, especially if you hear it's a free digital version. This thing is chock full. This is almost 200 pages of content. What is the network like for your contributors, and like how is this content getting to you so often from all over the world?
At the beginning itself, that we decided was that we're going to keep the magazine free to enable as many collectors as to enjoy the content that we put together, and it's just a matter of talking to people, telling them that we are interested in what they want to show. And what they want to show because we featured photographers who otherwise would have not gotten that kind of spotlight thrown on them. We reached out to people who wanted to write, but other magazines are like, you don't have the experience or the this. But we welcome because it's free. We welcome a lot of people to come and contribute to the magazine, because we're there because our tagline is the art and soul of collecting. So we are trying to bring collectors, enthusiasts, stories together. So that's what CastHeads Magazine is about, and we want to create that feeling of a magazine. Mm-hmm. That's why you have that double spread. We wanted to give that old world feeling of an actual magazine, but we decided to keep it digital to reach as many people as we can.
Also, to expand on another bit, you asked us how we get all this information and how do we. It isn't easy because there's a lot of stress getting the models, and we have to say a huge thank you to all the brands that have supported us. Tarmac Works actually was one of the first brands to support us. They were the first brands to send us models without worrying about. I think we were one of the first people they sent samples to as well. And not only that, they also used their network to promote the magazine as well. So that gave us a kind of kickstart into Hong Kong and Malaysia. And because of them, they gave us their rise. So I think a lot of the onus has to go to the brands that have been supporting us, because they've been quite regular with sending us stuff. And now, because I am based in the UK, when we were in Sri Lanka completely, it was a bit difficult. One is it took time to get the stuff to us. And the second thing is it was hard to get it through customs and stuff like that. We faced a lot of problems, but now we've been able to streamline it a bit more being here in the UK. People, we base a lot of our content from around the world on imagery, because people love to see pictures. So I think our biggest contribution section in the magazine would be the Shuttercasters section, which is also the easiest for people to showcase how they do things. But by and large, I mean, for the last 9 years, 90% of the content and articles has been done by Lance and myself, because we just love cars. I love to research, and I grew up in a culture of magazines and research, because, I mean, not to say that I'm old or anything, but I grew up pre-internet. So every bit of information that I found from cars or found out about cars was either from the books that I read or the magazines. And I've grown up with magazines like Top Gear and What Car and Auto Car and Classic Car and all of those. So for me, that has been the inspiration that I wanted to share with people as well. To a new age of collectors who are completely digital. And social media has just been absolutely insane when it comes to getting content, building communities. I think the most wonderful thing that CastHeads has is the community of people that we engage with on a daily basis around the world, constantly getting images, constantly getting feedback, constantly getting ideas. It's just such an enriching feeling to get all of this back from people. And it just makes it easy to do the magazine because you get that passion and then you want to give back that passion. So that's basically where we come from when it comes to content. Is it easy? No. In fact, it's very hard. There are sometimes I have written over 10,000 words in articles for a single issue. But the fact of being able to spend time looking at this model, looking for all the information you can find out about it, pouring through books, because sometimes the internet can be wrong as well. So sometimes having a good old book to say, okay, that is not a Hemi engine because this model didn't come with a Hemi engine. So that sticker is wrong. And therefore, we sometimes have told model producers, hey guys, you guys have put wrong information about your model on the car. That's not a Hemi. And that is the fun part about it's not to nitpick or anything, but being able to get it right and enjoy that information. It's just something that we love to do. So it's a natural thing.
Is there something that you both can kind of agree on, like that you guys want the magazine to progress in, or something new and different that you guys are going to do with it? Or are you guys just basically staying with the same format? I know there's new things, like there's NFTs out there. There's all kinds of new technology. Do you guys see yourself going in that direction at all with some of that stuff, like virtual type of things?
We are progressing as technology allows us. But the thing is, we also understand that not all of our readers, not all of our fan base would, how do I say, have access to that technology or take that technology from themselves. So there are, I mean, we're looking at where we can deliver better content, faster content, even more mobile friendly. But we found out that not everybody has the technology or has adapted it already. So we are not in a rush to change the current format that we have, but we are always, Nigel attests to the fact that we are always thinking, how can we progress the magazine? How can we get it to more people? That's why that even though we have the magazines, we are extending our TikTok, we're extending our Instagram, more video on channels that do deliver video. And of course, as time goes by, we will change more and more into very interactive content. Even like now, you read an article in a magazine, you click a link, you watch the video to do that is connected to the article or to the model, so that you still have that interactivity without going too far ahead where people are like, oh my God, I'm so tired.
Also, we have dabbled a bit into the technology side of things. Not many people know this. And to be fair, we haven't been able to concentrate on marketing it as much as we should have, because again, the magazine is such a evolutionary thing. Things change from day to day. Things move. We got new models coming out. Brands are just popping up all over the place. We are kind of going up against hundreds of thousands of influencers around the world, who are basically got the same sort of models, which is why we try and do more of the backstory and more of the what goes into the model, as opposed to this is the model, this is the review. But we did build something that is really cool, and that is called Bumpr. Nobody knows about it. It is the world's first Android and Apple iOS based car collection cataloging app. It basically has all the models, all the sub brands, all the scales. All you need to do is put your model on the table, take a picture. Everything is dropped down. You basically select your thing. You can add notes. You can add how much you paid for it. You can add stuff to it, but everything else is pretty much automated. And it's there for people to collect and have an access to their car collection. There's a search function. You can upload your own pictures, which means you can create this beautiful gallery of all your models as well as cataloging it. And the problem is we need to sell it because we need to keep updating it. One of the new updates that we are now working on doing is being able to take your current information from an Excel file, because a lot of collectors in the States have a lot of their collections on Excel. So we want to be able to export that Excel file into the app and be able to do it reverse as well, so that people can export the information into Excel and give it, for example, to their insurance provider.
Absolutely.
And get an insurance done on their cars, because right now, with all the natural disasters that are happening across the world, it's not specific to one country. At any moment, we had high gale winds. I could have lost some of my cars that are on display, and some of them are quite expensive. Some of them hold more than nostalgic value. So we created this app, and to be able to develop it further, we do charge a one-off payment. But unfortunately, we have been getting a bit of a blowback from people who want it for free, which we'd like to provide it for free. And it isn't a subscription. It's a one-off payment. You buy it and that's it. We keep upgrading it. You keep using it. And all the updates after that are free. So in that sense, we have gone the technological route, and we are also looking at how we can expand that further with working with brands, for example. But the world's first only dedicated app for cataloging your collection is available right now on Android and Apple iOS. So we have been doing things like that, but we are small. We are lean. There's just 5 of us, 4 who are working full time on the magazine. So to get these things out and develop these marketing strategies and all for these things has been a bit difficult for us, which we're hoping to kind of now be able to do more this year, because we have more of a support team.
I know of a podcast you can get the word out on that.
They're seen by dozens.
And so far, the few people that have bought it love it.
Yeah, it sounds really interesting to me. Like, I could see it very easily partnering with something like HobbyDB, where they already have a bunch of that information already in there, and you could partner with them and have that information port in and out. Because that's HobbyDB has got a really kind of cool documenting process already, but it is very hit or miss as far as like actually having that information in there. So I love the idea of, first of all, having it on an app on your phone so you can instantly access all of your information. You can see the stuff, and if you see it elsewhere, you can catalog it yourself and hopefully build that internal database. So when the next person comes along and says, "Oh, I've got that car too," they can see, "Oh, this is a picture," and we can add facts to it, almost like a Wikipedia type thing. What was the name of that app again? Because we need to get that out there.
Bumpr.
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 Bumpr. All right. Well, we'll make sure we link to that in the show notes, because that is super cool. We talk to people all over the world, and we talk to them about collecting diecast. And I'm curious, at least from the Sri Lankan experience and the UK side as well. So say you wake up one morning and you go, "I want to go buy some diecast." What does that look like?
We have our own little shopping centers, and supermarkets have them. We have our own supermarket chains, own shopping chains. Toy stores is where most of the time you find Hot Wheels and measure it. For bigger scales, it's usually the toy stores themselves that bring down my stores and Voragos. Other than that, a little motor mats here and there. We used to have like specialized guys bringing auto art and the more higher end, higher expensive models officially. But in Sri Lanka right now, we have a lot of gray market importers, Facebook traders, who are bringing down the more 164 detailed models. Like Tarmac Works, Mini GT, Pop Race, because these brands are so popular because it's detailed. wanting, and most of the collectors now can afford it because a Hot Wheels car culture is more expensive than buying a mini GT or a pop race in Sri Lanka.
Well,
oh yeah,
Yeah.
there's not a hard decision.
You pay 3,000 rupees for a Hot Wheels on this side. Do you pay 4,000 rupees for a mini GT or a pop race? So it's like, let me do this.
Yeah. Yeah, I just finally found a place about 2 hours from me that sells mini GT and pop race, and so to get a Hot Wheels premium here, according to my Walmart this morning, it was $6.47 to get a premium Hot Wheels car. To go to this guy and buy a pop race was $28. So they're significantly more expensive. Or a mini GT might be 10 or 11 bucks for a regular one, and then they go up from there. And Tarmac Works $14-15 and going up from there. So it is still considerably cheaper to get Hot Wheels here, but but the big stores have taken out almost all the independent toy shops and stuff where you used to be able to get stuff, and you might have a Hobby Lobby instead of several hobby shops, and they'll have a selection of diecast. But it's always interesting to me what brands are popular here and there as well. And Nigel, I wanted to hear from you on the UK side as well.
I like data analytics, and I like to be able to collect some sort of data from everywhere and kind of figure out where, what, when, and how. And it really is all down to distribution and shipping. The thing with mass market products like Hot Wheels, Matchbox, and Majorette is because they produce so many thousands and thousands and thousands of cars, and shipping it to all these distributors, large scale distributors like supermarket chains and massive toy chains like Toys R Us and stuff like that. They can keep the cost down because of the numbers of cars that they're selling and the number of cars they're producing and distributing around the world. Whereas with brands like Pop Race, Mini GT, and Tarmac Works, their production scale is much higher because the toolings for those cars, there's so much detail in them, the toolings get really expensive. And then the cost of shipping them all the way from China or Hong Kong across to the United States is where the money doubles up from. And then, of course, even if they give great discounts to markets in the States and in Europe, the guys who are selling it have to make their money, and that's where their margins come in, because they look at the cost of shipping, they look at the cost of picking it up, the taxes that they have to pay. And the thing is, taxes in different countries also is quite high. The reason why Hot Wheels is so expensive in Sri Lanka is because the tax for toys in Sri Lanka is almost 300%. So you're going to be paying 3 times more exactly on a Hot Wheels. So then what happens is everybody gray markets and goes to Singapore, Malaysia, picks up their cars from there. And most of the time it's Tarmac Works and the newer high-end scale brands, because you find Hot Wheels in the supermarkets and in the clothes shops and in the retail chains. Now in the UK, it's still brick and mortar to a certain extent. I, for example, can walk to the high street in town and there's a model shop, and I can go in there and they've got tons of Jada, tons of Solido, tons of Hot Wheels, tons of Matchbox, and they've got quite a stock of model cars. But a lot of these guys started off as rail and railway accessories and train shops. And now they're getting into the car model because nowadays the younger generation is leaving behind train sets and so on and so forth because they're so big and they're so cumbersome and they're very expensive to maintain as a hobby. A lot of the younger generation is going into cars. So what you find is a lot of these shops are now starting to expand on their model car collections and their model car stock. Having said that, in the UK, they're still into legacy brands like Corgi and Oxford. Hot Wheels is still the number one main mass-produced 1/64 scale car that's available. Majorette comes in a close second. Matchbox, strangely enough, is not as big as Majorette and Hot Wheels here, and you will find more Majorette and Hot Wheels in the supermarkets and toy stores as opposed to Matchbox. And then a lot of guys have now gone online. So you've got tons of distributors who got all scales. And because they don't have to worry about rent and space and shelf space and maintaining a shop and all of that, they're able to give people a better discount and a better price on the high-end models like Tarmac Works and Pop Race and Mini GT. And those brands are really, really making a big headway into the UK, into Europe, because they're quite robust with their distribution. They're giving as much discounts as they can. So the guys here are making better margins. And Hot Wheels, I think, have realized that, hang on, these guys are eating into our market. And again, with Majorette over the last 2-3 years, we've seen them really, really amp up their game in terms of castings, in terms of detail, in terms of designs. And so Hot Wheels isn't top dog anymore in, for example, Asia, definitely. And I have to say, one of the biggest pitfalls that Hot Wheels faced in Asia in terms of sales was the scalper problem.
Don't touch the dial. Diecast Breakdown will be right back after these messages.
Hello, this is Diecast Dude from the Netherlands, and you are watching Diecast Breakdown.
The Diecast Media Network store is here. Wear your passion with pride, featuring designs from Diecast Breakdown, flying Valiant builds, plus unique designs inspired by diecast culture from Justin Ellis. Visit tpublic.com/Diecast Media Network now. And now, the thrilling conclusion of this week's episode of Diecast Breakdown.
With brands like Tarmac Works, you don't have that problem because there is no treasure hunt. There is no, they have a chase system, but again, most of their products are done on pre-orders. So people know exactly what they're getting, when they're getting, the price they're paying for it. There's no going to a shop and looking for it and hunting for it. And the scalpers have killed the Hot Wheels because people got tired of paying 3-4 times more than what they should be paying from the pegs. And I'll be honest, the scalping problem is not so prevalent here in the UK. It's really nice to be able to walk into a supermarket and go through the Hot Wheels and find a lot of the castings that you like or you'd like to have, which for a fact in Asia will just get snapped up in dozens and then sold for 2-3 times the price. Malaysia has a very, very cool place called Amcorp Mall. Oh my God. That is model car heaven. And every Saturday, Sunday, you get guys coming in from Indonesia and Singapore and setting up like booth sales in the corridors. And it is every single Hot Wheels car that you can imagine on the planet. And
it's an experience.
Yeah.
For a diecast collector, that is like, I highly recommend it. Singapore has a few places as well. One of the places that we visit a lot is the Hive. It's a cool hangout spot for diecast collectors. Now a lot of people are starting to see the benefits of creating these little community spaces where they can have the community come over, take pictures and all, buy stuff.
Once it becomes about money wherever it's at, it kills the hobby. And when people can worry less about that and more about just the community and getting together and sharing their passion, then it's a different experience. So yeah, it's refreshing to hear that there's still places that in the UK that you could just go and just go, just like go to the shelf and just kind of look and just not have to like look over your shoulder or somebody just left with a shopping cart full of stuff. So it's nice to know that's still out there because it gets very frustrating. I think a lot of us collectors, because we're all collectors, I think you're completely 100% right about Hot Wheels. People have started moving away from Hot Wheels because of the scalper thing. And you even get sick of complaining about it. And people call you a crybaby or stop complaining or it is what it is. But that's fine. It can be what it's going to be. But
then
I'm not
going to participate.
I doesn't mean I have to participate. So I think Hot Wheels I think they're probably, if they're smart, they're realizing that that's happening, that people are walking away. I mean, I can't remember the last time I bought a Hot Wheel. I still love Hot Wheels. I still kind of pay attention to what's coming out. But once I started getting Tarmac Works and Mini GT and Kaido House, and it's just a really cool experience to be able to get those. And you still might get a chase, but you're not like out there tearing shelves apart to find the chase, because it's not, it's an extra, it's an added benefit. It's not what I collect. Once you start collecting nothing but chases and super treasure hunts and all that stuff, it just gets out of hand. It's not about collecting like to collect. It's just about the value factor. Even if, say, you don't resell them, then why do you care so much like that this is worth $100? That's not what this hobby's about. And I think that it's shifting, and certain manufacturers better figure it out.
I'm quite passionate about the subject because that's actually one of the reasons why Lance and I kind of came together as well. We had this problem in Sri Lanka. And the thing is, in Asia, the prices of scalping cars just gets crazy. It's absolutely insane. You find people paying 3-4 times more for cars that haven't even made it into the blister pack and are still not even riveted. They're unspun. And they're selling 3-4 times more before they even hit the market, right? Now, the thing is, when you're paying the same amount of money for a Hot Wheels car as a Tarmac Works or a Mini GT or a Pop Race that have opening parts. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the latest Pop Race Hako. The front splitter has got actual arms on it. It's not a part of the casting. It's not something. It's got beautiful little arms on it. So for guys in Asia, this is what happened. All these guys in Hong Kong went, hey, wait a minute. If this is what guys in Asia are paying for Hot Wheels, we can give them a better product for the same price. And now that is, or less, exactly. You know, I mean, the prices of super treasure hunts is just absolutely insane. I would never pay that much for a treasure hunt. I would rather spend all of that money by picking up 3-4 models from Tarmac Works.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And the crazy thing is super treasure hunts are not rare. They make like over 25,000 of each of them. And like, I've got a Johnny Lightning Ford Ranger chase that I got by accident from ordering from the Auto World store. And it's a run of 2,400 cars total. And they make 2% of those get made into chases. So that car is one of 50. And it's like, okay, that's cool, I guess. But, you know, a super treasure hunt where they make 25, 30, 40,000 of them, or the RLC Club cars where they sell out instantaneously, and they'll announce the car and they'll be pre-selling on eBay over here for $80-$90 or $100. And it's like, you haven't even bought the car yet, and you're already scalping it. It's
don't
incredible.
Sell something you don't have.
Exactly. And people must be buying them, because otherwise they wouldn't.
Like for the RLC drops, you'll find 2 or 3 guys with a laptop, with 2 mobile phones, an iPad, all connected, waiting to push the button simultaneously for the RLC drops. They're all over the world, because I remember the day when RLC was only for the US, used to have a US address. So they're drop shipping the hell out of those, and suddenly you get them up in Indonesia, in Germany. You know, the day it's sold, it's pre-sold and sold again, right? And after a while, you just get tired. You just, I mean, I would like an RLC once in a while, but no, I mean, comparing it to what I have, I think personally, my collector journey has matured, because back in the day, you used to get caught up in the hype. You remember the Datsuns. You remember the Bugatti Veyrons. It went to $300 for a Bugatti Veyron.
Yeah.
I mean, I have one I bought for $70.
Don't get me started on the Datsuns, because that's I've tried to. I have most all of the Datsun 510s ever made for Hot Wheels. I haven't even dabbled into M2 and stuff because it just gets crazy. But there's some cars that I need to complete. I want to complete my set, like all of the RLCs and all this stuff. But there's cars that are literally $2,000 for a 510. I'm talking 1,000 to 2,000, and it's just I'm not paying that. So I've been blessed enough to gifted a couple from subscribers that were worth $400-500. They said, no, you want this, you need this more than I do. I got it back when it came out for $8. It's $8. I'm out $8. So it's nice to have those kind of people that can help you, but it's just absurd. And there's gassers out there that are candy striper, $1,000.
And what's crazy is like sometimes it'll even bleed over into the main lines where you'll have like the Godzilla R34 that came out a few months ago where everybody was losing their mind. I'm like, guys, this is a mainline car. This is not not even a treasure hunt. This is the mass produced car, and people are like selling it for $20, and I'm on. What are you?
I mean, you guys remember the story of the first Japan historics, right? Why it became so wanted was distribution. Corporates made Hot Wheels made a huge bungle in their distribution, and suddenly the story went out that this is severely limited. And then the wagon had 2 different grills. And then people started picking. I mean, these are manufacturing defects.
Oh, error cars.
They didn't do it on purpose, but errors are their own deal. Some people like that kind of stuff. But
I have to say, it's really clever of Hot Wheels to capitalize on selling their QC problems. That is brilliant.
Right.
All right, but can we all agree this? Aside from the scalping issue, is there? And this is what I preach on every episode, guys. Nigel, Lance, is there a better time to be a diecast collector than it ever has been? No. And no. I want to hear from you guys.
Fabulous.
I want to hear from you guys for the people that are watching this episode in the States. I want to hear your best guess. How many brands are out there in diecast that you guys have looked at? Because there are people over here that think it is Hot Wheels, Johnny Lightning, and Auto World. And they don't even know about, and they don't know about the amazing stuff that you guys have seen on the other side of the world. So give me your best guess. How many brands are out there doing really cool diecast?
If I was to make a valid guess, and I'm talking about the brands that are licensing, that are doing it proper, that have proper distribution network, I can actually count about 5 diecast brands that are doing really well from Asia, right? I can also count about 4 from Europe, right? We got to give kudos to Schuko. Schuko does some really nice 164 all the way to 118. They do some really intricate models, right? But again, it's a taste. It's a matter of taste with Schuko, right? With their old-timer, young-timer collection. Then Siku. Again, in the more majorette Matchbox range, you have Siku. Then you go up into Viking.
There's just so many brands out there that a lot of us have never heard of, and we need to crack open a CastHeads and learn about all these brands, don't we, Nigel?
Yeah, that is the thing, but it actually brings a couple of really interesting points. One, because of what has happened with Hot Wheels, it has encouraged a highly competitive market, which means people around the world now have choice of some really, really amazing models. Absolutely amazing. I mean, if I just walked around my room or office here, I could pick up some 164 cars that would absolutely blow y'all's minds in terms of details. One good example is the pop race Bozozuku, which they recently launched with Bathing Ape. And that's the other thing. A lot of these brands are working in collaboration with some other cool brands that are outside the diecast market. The other thing is licensing. Now, we believe that the brands we work with appreciate the fact that they need to license their products. So when we talk about brands that we work with and brands that we like to talk about, all of them are licensed with brands to the point where we actually have gotten involved in helping some of these brands get licenses so that they can start distributing around the world. But if you were to look at some of the unlicensed brands that you get coming out, you're talking about 100 and 150 new die-cast 164 scale brands that are out there, right? And a lot of them are unlicensed. Actually, more than half of them would be unlicensed. The other lot are basically doing it the right way, getting the licenses, working with other collaborating brands to get licenses. For example, Tarmac Works works with IXO to get the Ferrari license. And therefore, all their cars are basically licensed by Ferrari. Now, a lot of people say, oh, why do I need a Ferrari license? I can just get PGM, for example. They don't have the Ferrari F40 license, but I can buy their diecast. Say one day you want to take that car to Italy and you want to get somebody at Ferrari to sign it. They're not going to sign your unlicensed car. They're going to sign your licensed car. So I can easily take all my Ferrari cars from Tarmac Works, walk into Ferrari and say, guys, I would really love to have these autographed. You know, and that is the essence of being a collector, being able to do that, being able to have that and own that and say, oh, I have these cars, Ferrari cars, that are signed by guys at Ferrari, for example. They won't do that with a license model. And again, a lot of people say, oh, sometimes the license model has quality control problems as opposed to the unlicensed model. That's fine. At least the license model came with the approval from the licensor. And therefore, there was an ethical way of getting people who designed that car are part of that process, are part of that whole system of things. And that, I think, is something that a lot of collectors should really appreciate. And that is something that we really push to the point where brands that we like to work with, we've actually gone a step further to help them acquire licenses, which is kind of cool because now we have a kind of insight into the licensing procedure and we've got access to some of these really cool brands that now we can start working with to get information about the cars to put in our magazines when the cars get produced by the brands that make them. So it's a beautiful ecosystem that works well for everybody. It's legal and you can get it anywhere in the world.
I've had the pleasure of actually visiting these factories in China, seeing how the manufacturing work is done, what goes into it. And they do put a lot of effort into it. I think now because of Mini GT and Kaido House and it being stamped made in China, a lot of people are more open to the fact that it's a better quality than it used to be, because you usually sign off made in China as opposed to Tomica made in Vietnam, Hot Wheels made in Malaysia and Thailand. So, I mean, you would always assume that quality is much better. But the process is like recently one of the cars from Mini GT, they had like 200 stampings on it to get it right. There's so many layers to getting that car and the figures because like if you're going to do a Red Bull F1, you have to get it exacting. There are demands from the brand, and that's where the licensing plays in. On the other side, you get access to those blueprints. You get access to the little details that you might miss from downloading a free 3D model and making the car. So everything goes. I mean, sometimes $100,000 spent on the molding, on the toolings. Why? Because we think it's the outside, right? But you have to do the tooling, so the engine, for the seats, for the steering, for the dash, right? For the little bits that go into the boot, the wheel wells. The people don't understand, and they're like, "Why are we paying $15? Why are we paying $28 for a 164?" Because so much goes into it, right? I mean, the manufacturing process is so detailed. Yeah, I mean, you hear about the QC. If I'm paying $15 for this, why is the tampos a little bit crooked? The taillights are a little maladjusted. I mean, Hot Wheels errors sell more than for the normal basics.
I got an Air Premium. It's worth $10,000.
Yeah, they created a whole culture around their errors. Right? Different paint color. Why? Because they ran out of that paint while they were doing it, and they were like, "It's okay, let's keep going."
Yeah.
The lighter purple versus the dark.
Can I pull out something and show you guys?
Sure, of course. As long as it's a car.
Yeah.
I was just about to go.
What kind of show is this?
Yeah.
I'm going to crack this open for you guys right here, right now, right? And just to give you guys an idea of why these brands are just so exciting, right? This is Tarmac Works, right? Official licensed Ferrari.
Oh, some new F40?
Yep. Comes with your collector card as well. But guys, I mean, just look at that detail.
Look at it, sir.
Amazing. And they've got the red one dropping soon, Nigel.
Yeah.
I got to see one of those Liberty Walk F40s that I forget who's doing that one, but in person, but it was incredible.
Also, I noticed Mark is wearing a Hako t-shirt. So I just have to, and this by far is probably one of my most favorite castings at the moment. This is the Pop Race Hako. Look at that.
Yeah.
And this has opening parts. So even in the back, you've got the radiator and the nose kit, and you've got an opening engine. It shows the V8. Right? Yeah. And
it's a real world car.
Nobody knows where this car has come from. So, of course, in our magazine, we don't review the car, but we have the backstory of where this car comes from. But again, just look at that. I mean, for me, that splitter in front.
The splitter is fantastic.
Next level.
Yeah. Pop Race has really surprised me because I just got the turquoise Porsche, the Singer, yes, and I got the tan one with the little plaid suitcase, and they're just gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. It's like holding a little Porsche in your hand. And I just got the Kaido House Silverado as well, and that is just unbelievable how realistic, how detailed and intricate they are. Yeah, there's the Mini GT.
GT.
Yeah.
My favorite. Right now, this is what sits on my table every day. I just love this casting.
Beautiful.
I love this model. And again, the detail is just stunning. So yeah, I mean,
I got note just before we came on that mine was due to be delivered today.
I called them up, canceled it, David.
I'll get Glenn on the phone and get me one.
Another thing that we're going to be introducing in the magazine is reliable sellers around the world. So we've been working with online sellers, and we're going to give them a space in the magazine so that people can start to, in the States, who do I go to? Who has good prices? Because we know we work a lot with a lot of these brands like Tarmac Works, like Mini GT, like Pop Race. We know the owners. We know the backstories. We work with them. So we kind of have an insight into the pricing as well. And therefore, we know when dealers are overpricing or underpricing or giving our collectors a good deal. So what we're going to start doing is we're going to have all these distributors in our magazines so that collectors have a place to go to in their country or that ships to their country at decent rates, where it's not overcharged, surcharge, where you can enjoy yourself as a collector and get cars. So this is probably one of the next few things that we're going to be implementing in the magazine, a reliable spot for people to classifieds.
Sure.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just want to make a small clarification. CastHeads is now a media platform, and magazine is just one part of it, right? So the magazine is the more information-driven hub right now that we have.
Kind of like Global 64, Hobby 64, all that under the Tarmac Works umbrella. I got you.
Like Diecast Media Network and Diecast Breakdown.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
So it sounds like CastHeads is going to be your source for anything diecast in the future. Keep track of your collection, where you can find them, and pictures of what's coming out next. Outstanding.
Yeah, the ecosystem that we're building is you have the shopping district, you have the leisure district, you have the community gathering, have a coffee and talk about cars, side of town. Come and okay. So I love this car. He told me about it. Let me go and buy it.
Yep.
Right. And then let me buy it, and then let me go and show it off. Let me take photographs. Let me play with it. Let me make a video. Let me make a TikTok. So is that we want to enable the creators of the content a place to come. We are the end all to be all. No, we want to create that space for the global diecast community. Whether you're a content creator, a fan, a toe dipper, or you're going all the way in, whether you only collect F1, Formula One cars, doesn't matter.
Or you collect monster trucks like David Jones.
Monster trucks, anything to do
only
with
monster
diecast.
trucks.
Just don't do CastHead Finance where you can get a loan on the spot before you buy your diecast.
I think that's a good idea. We can tie up some banking.
Tie the loans on diecast.
We did think about CastHeads insurance at one point, but then we found out that was a game we really can't get involved in.
No.
But yeah, at the end of the day, we are collectors, and that is where all of this comes from. The insight into collecting. We know what collectors like. We know what collectors want. We know what collectors like to do with their collections, because we are collectors. None of the cars that we get as samples has ever been sold, because we can't think of selling them, because for us these are wonderful pieces that we have had the pleasure of being able to get from people who bestow this upon us. For us, it's about collecting. It's about being able to sit back and enjoy reading a book and pulling out the model car and comparing the details in the book with the model. I mean, that's what I do. I've got magazines on Ferrari right next to me with my Ferrari F40. That is what collectors do. So we realize that is our biggest insight, and everything we do, whether we are the number 1 or the number 10, will always be intrinsically for collectors, which is why the magazine will always be free.
Although I got to point out, I noticed that, Lance, you do a bit of customizing too. You don't just collect. You're actually like me. You like to drill them apart.
I think of it as making it more personal.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I'm not a purist. I'm the furthest thing from a purist when it comes to cars. But the form and function, like the Toyota 2000 GT, which is my favorite casting, from Hot Wheels, I try to collect every brand model that makes it, which I think was one of the most beautiful cars, one of 3 actually. The other 2 being the Jaguar
XKE,
X-Type, the X-Type, and the Ferrari 250 GTO. Those are the 3 cars that has the best form and function ever. But I like the Hako that where they stuff the V8 into it, taking the best of Japan and then putting a Dodge V8 into it and use it for drifting.
America.
I enjoy my Liberty Walks as well as the RWBs. But then a Porsche 911 992 GT3 is still its purest form. I mean, I think I tend to enjoy cars and automotive and moving stock. I'd like to call it moving stuff in any form, whether it's 2, 3, 6 wheels. I mean, I like to collect the Mercedes. What you call it? The little Mercedes truck, not the 6x6, the little truck.
Not the G-Wagon. Oh, it's the old. It's on the tip of our car.
Unimog.
The Unimog.
Unimog, yeah, those are sweet.
Right, yeah. So it's collecting for. I mean, as a collector, I like anything that moves, basically. I mean, that's what we're bringing into the CastHeads media platform. Is we like to talk about how this model came to be, because, like Nigel said, anybody can talk about the model, but very few people talk about where the model came from, the idea as well.
To be honest, so far we've been discussing diecast collecting around 1/64 scale. man, if you look at 124 now, 118, right? And then recently we reviewed a car from a brand called Automodelo, where we reviewed the Dan Gurney Eagle F1 in 112 scale with the engine exposed, and it's just mind-blowing.
Sure.
It's just absolutely, it's such a gorgeous piece. And the amount of cars out there is just crazy.
Mind-boggling.
I can wax lyrical about Maisto and Burago and the way they've upped their game in the last 10 years. We've seen a complete change. I just saw this morning their 2024 catalog, and they have both Burago, Maisto, and Burago Ferrari have got some insane models coming out this year in 118 and especially in 124. They have really expanded their 124 line. And then again, Jada is doing fantastic 124 scale cars. We recently got their true scale die-cast model, which is basically the exact replica in 124 scale of one of the Fast and Furious Chargers. And this is going to be a new line that they're going to be coming out with. We have it here. So, guys, like David said, it is truly an exciting time to be a die-cast model car collector. Truly.
I know.
The most exciting time.
Most exciting. Yes. Well, I know we could talk about this all day, but you've got a media team to run, and we've got our own projects that we got to get back to as well, because we're doing this in the middle of the day to look behind the curtain a little bit to make sure everybody could be on at a semi-reasonable time. But guys, again, I can't thank you enough for joining us. It's been so cool to have you on. Tell folks again where they can find you, follow you, all that good stuff.
CastHeadsMagazine.com is where you get the magazine completely free. We have some great blogs up there as well. CastHeads on IG is where you'll find all fantastic photography from not just us, but from people around the world. We're on Facebook, CastHeads Magazine, and we've got Shuttercasters, which is basically our community of photographers.
Oh, cool.
Beautiful pictures. You guys should check it out. Anybody watching this, the creativity that's coming out from the entire world is just... We've got YouTube, CastHeads Magazine on YouTube, where we do cars and caffeine. And we're on TikTok as well now. So behind the scenes of our shoots and what we get and stuff is all on TikTok. And of course, the cataloging app Bumpr. Hopefully, people will get on board and start cataloging their collections, because it'll be nice to see, again, all these beautiful cars and pictures that people take. It will encourage that creativity.
Sure. Well, that's really cool. I didn't know about Bumpr at all, and I'm very excited about that. I think that's super cool. I know Mr. Documentarian over here, Documenting David, is really excited about that as well. He's got his little
and I'm in insurance too. It's a win-win for me.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, again, Lance, Nigel, thrilled to talk to you. We absolutely want to have you back on, because there's, of course, so much that we can talk about. We'll have to find a way to do a live or something where we can talk to people, and that'll be a lot of fun. But again, an absolute delight. So thank you for joining us, and
thank you so much.
And thank you, viewers, listeners, wherever you are, for making it to the end of yet another episode of Diecast Breakdown. We are so thrilled that you've stuck around to the end. Again, a shout out to our patrons that make this show go. And again, thank you to Lance and Nigel. We are so thrilled about the way this hobby is going and the way 2024 is kicking off. We got a lot of really cool stuff coming, so make sure you like, subscribe, ring the bell, watch our shorts. We got a lot of really cool stuff that we're doing, new content every single day of 2024. That's the goal. And as always, we want to thank you for coming along with us for the ride. So until next time, stay fresh, cheese bags.
Thanks for listening to Diecast Breakdown. If you enjoyed today's show, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and tell a friend to listen in. Find Diecast Breakdown on your favorite social media platforms, or visit diecastmedianetwork.com to learn more about this and our other projects. Diecast Breakdown is a presentation of Flying Valiant and the Diecast Media Network.